We are live from Spinatos in Gilbert, and breaking news, there used to be 2 full pizzas here like 8 minutes ago. Gerald, how many slices of each pizza is left? Psychos and sickos unite for a very, very special PHNX Suns pregame show coming to you live from Spinatos out in Gilbert. There is still time to come to our watch party with pizza basketball contest. Cedric Ceballos is going to be out here. Gerald Bourguet is here. Stephen Prejean-Garner is here. I'm here. Noah's here. We're turning the lights on and we're having a good time. And of course, the PHNX Suns pregame show is brought to you by our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. It was not clickbait at the beginning of this video, guys. There was 2 full pizzas here, I would say about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, and now they're gone.
How many slices do you think you had, Gerald?
I put away at least like 7 in about a 13-minute span. So,
Steven, you paced yourself a little better.
I was trying to, yeah.
But we're gonna save these for you.
My pizza.
Even though I'm eyeing these up right now, I think I had probably 7 to 10.
We got to get Steven's
range.
pizza per 100 possessions up a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
It's a little
Pizza
low.
per 100.
Yeah, mine is looking, yeah.
We also need to get you a
Nurkic-esque.
foam finger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and to be fair, like the slices of pizza, they're squares, right? So it's not like the full slice. But I was telling Gerald, I think if there's like any pizza I can binge eat, it's Spinatos. I just throw the slices into my mouth.
Absolutely.
Inhale.
Inhale.
Patrick
I mean,
Star style.
my lovely wife has called me a human vacuum cleaner and a human garbage disposal.
Well, I mean, Spinatos helps too. It's got the highest VORP of any pizza, over replacement pizza.
Don't get me started on wins above replacement. The war of Spinatos as well. They're a multi-sport athlete. But listen, we appreciate everybody who's in the chat. Wow, I'm trying to read your names from all the way over here. Hello, Tony, SVG, Wow Factor, Johnny, Girth Jr., your son, in the chat, and everybody who's coming out to Spinatos later.
From the womb?
What?
From the womb?
From the womb.
I mean,
That's
Girth Jr.'s
crazy.
been out in the world for a while.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
I'm just waiting on Goku Bourguet to get here, personally. But what is here is Suns Timberwolves in just under 30 minutes. We have digested the big bowl of poop that was the Suns Celtics game from 2 nights ago, and we're ready, guys. Hopefully.
Digested, regurgitated, then.
You got any more for us?
No.
What happens after
It's
regurgitated?
it's a cycle. It's a cycle.
We are silly today
Disgusting.
out at Spinatos. But, Steven, it wasn't silly, the beatdown that the Celtics served the Suns on a hot platter 2 days ago. How do they bounce back against the Timberwolves tonight?
Well, for one, taking care of the basketball, caring about some defense for a change, making the 3-point shots you do generate. That's a nice start without going into a dissertation to start our 30-minute or less pregame show.
Gerald, what's the number one thing that pops to your mind?
It's got to be on the defensive end. Obviously, the Timberwolves are a good defense again. Last year, they've kind of picked it up in that regard. They were elite #1 last year. They're back up to 6 this year. But the offense has surprisingly been good for them. They're a top 10 offense in the NBA. And the Suns, we saw what happened. They got sliced and diced by the Celtics. We've seen them struggle with Julius Randle in these matchups. We've seen them struggle with Anthony Edwards. So it's got to start for me on the defensive end.
And part of that, and Hello, I think, says it perfectly, is don't leave open shooters, right?
Yeah.
You're not playing the Boston Celtics again, so it's not hopefully going to be as bad if you do go under a screen every single possession. But the Timberwolves do have a couple players, Steven, that like to chuck from deep, including their best player, Anthony Edwards.
They do, but the issue is they don't have the most clear-cut process to generate those shots. Like, Anthony Edwards takes a lot off of his dribbles. Like, probably 92, 93% of his three-point attempts are off the dribble. So it's either him creating it for himself or him creating it for everyone else. So it should be, in theory, easier, and I put that in quotations, easier to defend. But it's all about containing the ball first. That's where all of the hurdles come for the Suns' defense. If no one can contain the ball, then there's nothing to even talk about as far as scheme or taking away three-point shots from them.
Yeah, containing the ball and making sure they close out possessions. This is a good team in both second chance points and points off turnovers. So as always, taking care of the ball against a top 10, top 6 defense is going to be key. We've seen the Suns in recent weeks kind of waver with that a little bit. They've been good in turning opponents' turnovers into points, but we know how easily they can give stuff away with the live ball turnovers, and we know that the Timberwolves have the defensive personnel, the length to bother the Suns at times. So they're going to have to be very sharp with their execution on the offensive end, with a lot of guys that, frankly, didn't really see the floor a ton the last couple of times that they played Minnesota.
Yeah, and I do feel like this is a better matchup for the likes of Nick Richards than the Boston Celtics, but hopefully he's not going to be put in a position just to learn out there today, Gerald, which I still can't get over the fact that Mike Budenholzer said
It's a learning experience.
Yeah, it's a learning experience as the Suns sit half a game outside of Dallas. Before we dive into more details on this game, let's talk about why it's so important. Let's take a look at the push for the playoffs presented by our friends over at All Pro Shade Concepts. The Suns back in the gray in 11th, still 3.5 games above the Blazers for 12, but all we care about is that coveted 10th seed. Dallas back in there, a half a game above the Suns, and then another half a game above that is Sacramento at 9. Minnesota at 8, but a very hefty 6-game difference between the two. I guess you could say it goes a long way to beat Minnesota tonight and closing that gap, but really, Steven, it's about getting back into a tie for 10th.
Yep, and as we speak to before every game and after every game, it's all about them not beating themselves. If they just simply handle themselves in a way that's conducive to the winning that we saw that preceded the Celtics game, they're not going to necessarily find themselves in the top of the playing realm, but they'll be heading into the playoffs the way they want to.
So let's take a look at the injury report for tonight. It is Beal out, Jalen Bridges out, Ty Washington out. Clean bill of health for Minnesota. Same starting five for the Suns. Colin Gillespie, Devin Booker, Ryan Dunn, Kevin Durant, and Nick Richards. No surprise there, Gerald.
Yeah, no, it's good that we've had a little bit of consistency with the starting lineup. I haven't checked what the net rating is now after that Celtics game. It probably took a pretty substantial hit, but in the first 4 games together, I think it was a plus 27 or 26, something like that. So this group has been playing well together aside from against the defending champs. Hopefully they're able to carry it forward into a game against a team that, like Kevin Durant said the other night, has kind of had their number recently.
Yeah, they need to get it done. And I think
Must
naturally
win?
you haven't. It's gotta have it. Gotta have it.
You just won't say must win, will you?
I will not.
Why?
I will not.
But it is a must win.
There's still 2.5 weeks left.
No,
There's
this is a
still-
must win.
It's a gotta
Gerald,
have it.
back
It's a
me
gotta
up.
have it.
What's the
It's-
difference?
it's a
Gotta
gotta
have
have
it, must win is the same thing.
I feel like if you go back to like one of our first episodes of the regular season,
I do remember.
probably around like maybe the 18 or 20 minute mark, you asked the same question.
Okay, but
And I
there's a
gave
difference.
He's got the
detailed
timestamp.
answer.
He's got the time code.
But it's different. It's March 28th. This team
It
is the
is.
11th seed.
It's
This is a
it's
must win.
But is the season over if they lose this game?
No,
No.
but it's still a must
Are
win.
they eliminated from the playoffs if they lose this game?
So it's only if they get eliminated that's a must win.
Right.
If your season is on the line, I said this verbatim. That's the difference in terminology for me.
He's going with the strictest definition possible.
I like
And
Christian in the chat saying this is a must win for pride at least.
I can see that. It must win for pride because of the matchup in particular, but
I mean, in
in
this
terms-
matchup, that went out the door 3 or
that's
4
also
games ago,
relevant.
unfortunately.
That's also very relevant, too.
It's more the
sure.
pride of you just got your ass kicked by the Celtics. Like, let's prove that the 4 games before that, Gerald, is more who we are than getting booed on our home court because we lost to the reigning NBA champions.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think it's a very important game. I agree with Steven because I adhere to the strictest definition of what a must-win is. If they get eliminated, that's a must-win game. But this is a game that you need to have, that you want to have because, look, Anthony Davis is back for the Mavs. We don't know how long that's going to last, but that team is playing scrappy. They're putting together some wins, and they're going for that play-in spot. So they're not just going to kind of roll over and die like we thought they were going to. And then you've got the Blazers that are still in the hunt a little bit there.
Ish.
And if you're the Suns, you should be gunning for 9, to be honest with you, because you're still within striking distance of Sacramento. They have been kind of a trash heap since the trade deadline. And if you're going for a do-or-die game, look at the Suns' road record this year. It is not good. You want to have home court advantage in a do-or-die play-in game, so you want that 9 seed if you can potentially climb all the way up there. Looking at the schedule coming up, like you got Minnesota here, you got a game against Houston at home, and you've struggled with that team as well. And then it's the Milwaukee, Boston, New York road trip coming up. So you've got some tough opponents lined up. The Timberwolves have lost 3 of their last 4. This is a prime opportunity to kind of get a little modicum of revenge against a team that's owned you for the last year.
Okay, Steven, we can disagree on what to call it, a must-win, a gotta-have-it, all
I'm
for
not
pride,
disagreeing.
whatever.
You disagreeing. I laid the definition out.
Disagreements are two-way streets.
No, I laid the definition out.
I can't disagree with you, and you
agree.
agree.
You asked me if it was a
That's
must-win.
not how this works.
You asked me, it was a must-win, and I said, no, it's a gotta-have-it. And I said because of the definition that I explained to you in detail.
Steven, you know, one thing I will understand and one thing I'll always agree with are your keys for the Suns to win this game.
Good pivot.
Can we just get to those before we keep going? Encyclopedia Britannica over here with your definitions and everything.
I'm just saying. First of all, the biggest thing that's most important for the Suns today, Devin Booker needs to score the basketball. He hasn't taken over 20 field goal attempts in either of the last 3 games. He also is in single-digit makes in each of the last 3 games. Non-negotiable, he has to be putting the ball in the basket blended with his playmaking. It can't just be the playmaking, and it can't be the playmaking that's initiating the scoring opportunities for him. It has to be the other way around. They have to get paint touches. They have to break the shell of the Timberwolves defense. Him scoring the basketball is the best pressure point for that. Number 2, blue-collar efforts in a major way and with multiple efforts. They need all of those blue-collar guys that I've been speaking to have a stake of claim in the minutes in this game because they've been out blue-collared in each of the games since the playoffs last season against the Timberwolves. Those players help to shoulder a lot of that brunt and allow for KD and Devin Booker to focus on the more eye-candy type of things without having to overexert themselves. That's the way to get this game. And then the last big one for me, trust your switching. Julius Randle, 4-5 pick and rolls with Naz Reid or Rudy Gobert have hurt them in clutch time over the course of 48 minutes. Being able to switch that and work the schemes that they've been kind of ironing out the kinks with over the last few weeks should help with that. But it has to be sharp, though. And then the last other big thing is guard the three-point line for the reasons that we spoke to earlier.
Which of those keys, Gerald, is most important to you?
Well, that's tough. I think they're all important. I would probably lean towards maybe number 3 just because the Timberwolves are, like I said, they're a top 10 offense. A lot of people don't really focus on that, but they're 5th in three-point attempts, makes, and percentage on the year. So they're a top 5 three-point shooting team by pretty much any measure. We have seen the Suns struggle with keeping Julius Randle out of the paint, and when you have to rotate over or bring help on those guys, your rotations have to be pristine because we saw for whatever reason last game when the Suns were sending 2 to the ball, their rotations and recovery was not great. It led to a lot of open three-pointers. So there has to be strides made in that area against this team, especially if you are sending extra help or shadowing towards Julius Randle when he gets the ball.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for me is scoring Devin Booker. I know it sounds so simple, but we are talking about some moral victories here. Not that those are important, but more just after a loss against the Celtics and with the streak that Book's been on lately, and I love the playmaking from him. But if you remember the funk that he was in at the beginning of the season, the first game that it felt like he kind of came out of it against a good team was against this Minnesota team. And it is a matchup that he gets up for sometimes, but against some of these big teams this season, he hasn't been showing up, and I need him to show up there. But I need him and Kevin Durant to coexist, and we know, Steven, when that happens, they're more likely to win than not.
They're never going to be at their best unless they have both of those two playing at the peakest of their powers. I continue to hark back on the series against the Nuggets in 2023. That's the template, and it's supposed to be building around that process on the margins with everyone else, but those two obviously stirring everything that's going on. They have to be operating as those major hubs with gravity and the way they put pressure on the defense because few teams across the league can replicate that, and few teams can honestly defend that when they play to it that specific way.
This game is an ice cream size because you got to have it. I'm not going to say the name of the brand because no free ads. But since we got to have it, will they have it? What are our score predictions for tonight's game? We got 2 going Timberwolves, Espo and Gerald. Steven, you and I somehow not disagreeing on this one. You got Suns by 3. I got Suns by 2. Gerald, no faith in the Suns. You're a hater. No, I'm just kidding. Why are you picking the Timberwolves tonight?
They've just been better than the Suns in this head-to-head matchup. They've had their number. I don't know if the Suns do enough to discontinue that. I would like to see the last couple of times that they've played the Timberwolves with Ryan Dunn. He's played 11 minutes, 9 minutes, and then 18 minutes was his season high against the Timberwolves, and that was the Julius Randle game winner, so the closest that they got. I would like to see more Ryan Dunn minutes, especially in a matchup like this where you have Anthony Edwards, who the Suns have had no answer for on the defensive end when you have Julius Randle, who's same problem. He needs to be out there quite a bit, but I don't think that the Suns win this one.
You're on the other side, Steven.
I am. Anthony Edwards is dealing with the laceration on his left hand. Or his right hand, excuse me.
Say not the left
hand.
hand.
It's on his right hand. It's on his right. It's on his
No!
right. It's on his right thumb. He has not been shooting the 3-ball well. One of the main ways they dictate to their opponents is with him shooting and being able to knock down the 3 as efficiently as he has this season. If that diet of their shot profile is not on the table and they can't bend the defenses the ways that he needs to, in addition to him playing off of the double teams, that's a margin that for a Suns team that can score as high as they do, helps them kind of shrink the gap and potentially put them in a point of really being on top.
Yeah, Wow Factor with a good point in the chat, though, that Ant always gets up to play KD.
Thanks.
They always job back and forth with each other, but KD also gets up to play Ant. It's good, fun competition, but I only have fun if the Suns win. That's what we think is going to happen tonight. What about our friends over at Bet365? Let's go ahead and take a look at the line. The line is Suns +7 on the spread, +230 on money line, -280 for the Timberwolves, -7 on the spread. Pretty hefty spread here, Gerald, for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, they're kind of in alignment with how I feel about the game, but I was a little more optimistic. I think the Suns will keep it a little bit closer than that, and hopefully prove me wrong and get in the win column for the first time since April of last year against the Timberwolves.
Well, now it's time for our picks, presented by, of course, Bet365. Our picks give our picks. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365 when you sign up and find out why, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365 or on a PHNX Suns pregame show. You must be 21 plus and physically located in AZ. You pricks. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 100-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Speaking of pricks, let's go with Espo's picks first.
Oh, boy, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'm sorry, guys. Espo going with a book double-double, 25-plus points, 10-plus assists, and then 7-plus rebounds on top of that. Triple-double watch for Book, according to Espo, at a +1,600. How are we feeling about that bet?
If he's getting all those assists, that means guys are making threes.
Yeah.
And if he's putting up 25-plus points, that means he's taking double-digit shots. That aligns with everything I spoke to in the keys for the game.
Honestly, I think the rebounds is the biggest leap there.
Yeah, seven board, a near triple-double would be nice. You know what, Espo? I'm rooting for you tonight. Steven, let's see what your massive bet is that also came in on a screen recording. Yet again, Gerald, he sends his bet in on a screen recording, not a screenshot.
It's because Bet365's fonts are too big. That's the reason.
Not the fact that you have – are those
double-digit
double-digit legs?
It's the fonts. Anyway,
9 legs.
I have the Suns winning by – or I have the
legs and an
Suns
octopus,
winning
man.
and both teams scoring over 100 points in this one. Kevin Durant over 26.5 points, knocking down 2 or more threes. Devin Booker over 25.5 points, but not making more than 3 threes in this one.
Wow.
We talked about his three-point struggles. Not even getting them up, yet alone making them. I think that's something that persists. Anthony Edwards, because of the laceration on his shooting hand, I don't think he scores over 28 points. I also don't think he knocks down over 4 threes. Julius Randle's been a thorn in the side of the Suns all season long. I think he gets over 20, yet alone 17.5. And lastly, Tyus Jones in a revenge game scenario knocks down 2 or more threes.
Well, revenge game for Tyus Jones.
So we got Kevin Durant with 26.5 points over, and then we got Kevin Durant with 2.5 threes. Okay.
Yeah, got to get both of them.
Never have
I was gonna I want you to know I was gonna let that one slide. I wasn't gonna bring that up. Okay. If we're all just being honest with each other here, I completely forgot what my bet is. So we're all learning this together. What am I putting my money on tonight? Oh, that's way more picks than I thought. Kevin Durant over 25.5 points. Anthony Edwards over 28.5 points. I just think they're going to go at each other. Hand laceration aside. Ryan Dunn over 15.5 PRA. Kevin Durant over 1.5 stocks. Devin Booker over 2.5 turnovers. Rudy Gobert over 10.5 rebounds. Who's this guy betting on Rudy Gobert? Sacré Bleu. Baguette. Plus 2,000 on that one. Espo says, moving forward, all my picks will be AI. Hey, you know what?
Brother, we don't mess with AI.
We don't mess with AI.
No.
Unless he changed NBA culture forever. But don't get me and Steven talking on that AI
I don't let
conversation.
Eric get started speaking on
Listen.
Out of your mind.
Listen.
literally copy and paste into a Evolve version, and you say he has it more than
Oh,
the
okay.
original. That's
well,
insane.
no, that's not what I said. Okay,
Might
we
as well
are
have.
putting words in my mouth.
Might as well
Putting words in my when I should be putting pizza in my mouth instead. A reminder: we are live from Spinatos out in Gilbert. You still have time to come out here, watch the game with us, participate in some fun pizza basketball contests, a bunch of giveaways. Cedric Ceballos is going to be here at 5:30, and of course, Steven's going to be here. So show up. Noah's going to be here, so maybe just keep your distance when you show up. But either way, come hang out with us, come hang out with the Suns crew, Suns legend Cedric Ceballos, and watch some basketball contests as well. You can find all the information for that at gophnx.com/events or open up whatever maps you use, type in Spinatos, and go to the one on Ray Road. Look at that. You can get there either way. Final thoughts as we begin to wind down here on what the Suns have to do in order to walk away with a win tonight in this gotta-have-it game.
I would like to see more fight. Like Steven talked about the blue-collar efforts and things, but this is a team that has dominated you the last 7 times that you've played them. And we've seen the Suns kind of put together some momentum here. Is that going to hit a road snag against the Celtics and be gone forever, or are they going to get back on track tonight and show that, no, it was just a bad game and we are trying to make this play in? This is the best opponent possible, in my mind, for you to prove that you mean business about that.
There's a lot, but to keep it to 1, they need their bench to show up in this one.
Mm-hmm.
They were non-existent in impact or literally on the box score against the Celtics. That is non-negotiable. Obviously, a lot of the blue-collar boys persist in that specific realm of the roster. And it's not just scoring where their impact comes from, but they also need to knock down the three-point shots that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker generate for them as well.
I'm definitely looking at Cody Martin tonight because that's a new piece in the puzzle when you're facing the Timberwolves. And obviously, like you mentioned, Gerald, Ryan Dunn not getting a ton of run. The last couple of times these two teams have played, the most minutes he got was at the very beginning of the season when they played, and it went down after that. So having a couple more point-of-attack defenders to throw out there, add an injured Anthony Edwards, an older Mike Conley. I'm also a little worried, as always, about the Naz Reid matchup for this team. He's just the type of big that can present a lot of problems because, Steven, he could just do a little bit of everything.
And that's the caveat. Last time they played Mason Plumlee, almost said Miles. The difference
Shout
this
out.
time around, Oso is the one that's staking the claim of the minutes from the reserve center position. If you're switching everything, that should, in theory, take away a lot of the three-point attempts that he has been able to generate against the Suns and pick and pop scenarios. But it's just a matter of if they're defending well enough to where Oso doesn't also have to be in help position all the time. That's the main thing. Again, comes back to containing the ball before anything else.
You mentioned Mason Plumlee. Hey, Gerald, remember when the Suns' starting lineup against the Minnesota Timberwolves was Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Mason Plumlee, and Yusuf Nurkic?
I do, actually.
You remember?
I do remember
Doesn't that feel like about 5 years
Yeah.
ago at this point?
It really does. And honestly, that was a good call in that game because they got a bunch of screens for Book to kind of get him going. That was the whole point of it. And it worked for, like, at least the first half, if I remember right.
Not to be a Bud apologist, but in that game, Kevin Durant was not available.
Was he not? Okay.
That makes
That's
that okay. Not that it makes it okay, but
Right.
just saying that it gave it a little more reasoning than,
I just think it's so funny that Mason Plumlee and Yusuf Nurkic started alongside each other in
Yes.
2025. In any year.
Yes.
In 2017, that still would have been
Yes.
crazy.
Yeah.
But 2025.
And you wonder why Devin Booker couldn't really stay in the groove once he found the groove. Because they're like, okay, I don't have to guard either one of these guys. I'm going to just shade over here, and I'm going to watch Devin Booker dribble the air out the ball because there's no one to pass it to right now.
All right, one last thing. How many more slices of pizza do you think we collectively eat here at Spinatos the rest of the day?
It's more than one, I'll tell you that.
Probably more than 2.
More than 4.
More than 4. Well, guys, we're going to get back to the pizza, back to the people who are already out here. If you are, again, in the Gilbert area, come out to Spinatos. If not today, just come out any day. The pizza is delicious. They have so much more than that. They had some amazing wings that kept us fed during our 24-hour stream for PHNX Sun Devils, salads, cannolis, so much. We had the red zone and a cheese pizza, which, Noah, do you want to share your cheese pizza take with the world before we get out of here?
Jesus.
How about no?
Yeah, he knows. He knows
He doesn't want
that-
to get roasted.
that he's going to get
Can't
flamed
stand
for
on
that.
business. Cannot stand on business.
Milo says pizza in 4. That's the only thing I can get behind.
That's
and I
fair.
would be Sun's money guy when I walk up to Spinatos because I would eat as many pizzas as they could possibly make. All right. We good? We all good?
I think
all
so.
right,
I
make
think
sure.
Noah should share his pizza.
I think so too, but he's being a little baby. You scared?
I don't want to Steven it up.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
What?
Explain
Right.
yourself.
Now you got to double down
Oh,
and explain
Out of
yourself.
all the people to choose,
Right.
you choose him?
Yeah.
That's Unreal.
Ad read.
This guy.
Brother. It's just overall cheese pizza. God, you're so scared. So weak. What happened? What happened to you, Noah? Anyway, you can come back to our post-game show. We will also be live from Spinatos after watching the game here with all the Suns fans and Cedric Saballo. So tune in, and hopefully we got a win to talk about.
We all silly like the mayor.